And we're back. Happy Monday. I'm Alek Dincoff. We're here with Steve Todd, the founder and creator of Open Sourced Workplace, where we pick his brain and see what's going on. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Alec. How you doing? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. We're back at it. Feels good.
I'm loving the look you've got going on there with your beard.
Yes, so does my significant other. She says I should keep it, so I'm at the mercy. So
there you go. There you go.
Anyway, so what's new with you? We haven't spoke in a few weeks. We both had the holidays where a lot has happened. So what's new with yourself? What's new with Open Source Workplace?
Yeah, so obviously with the holidays, I did what I could to sort of slow myself down and do as little as possible. And I managed to do that for a little bit. I ate way too much, so that counts as slowing down and doing as little as possible. But yeah, I did take some time off. Anyone who's sort of been to the site has sort of realized there's been sort of almost like a stop on content. And a lot of that came from a meeting I had the last week of Christmas, just leading up to Christmas, with the new developer, the developer for the new site. Yeah, we were sort of reviewing, and to actually transition to the new platform, I will likely have to move all the content of open source onto the new platform. We'll have to do what we can on the back end to make sure Google sort of tracks the links between one article and the article and the two sites. I think it'll be fine. But more transitioning, just the cost to actually migrate was just, I just couldn't justify that cost. There's probably about 80 to 90 articles, so it's not that much heavy lifting. What's interesting, I probably have about 30, 40 articles lined up from open source that's sort of been running with those freelancers that I've got going. So I'm trying to get myself ready, prepared, and I spent a lot of time doing that over the holidays, but also fine tuning a lot of the new concepts that I want to bring with the new website, specifically on the service provider side. So allowing service providers to create their own membership page, allowing end users such as myself to go in and evaluate, give ratings, but also messaging them, asking them for quotes. So it's all the nuances. Okay, so whenever you do one action, what is the other action? How does that then get communicated on the platform, off the platform? Whenever you then receive a notification, how do you go back directly to where you need to on the site? These are like little nuances that just take so much time, energy, and effort, but it's so vital that this works. So the adoption rate is, it's smooth, and also someone who then comes to test the site and sort of see what actually is going to happen with it actually have a great experience. So I've delayed, rolling out the site. We talked before the Christmas in the sense that I want to delay it just to allow myself to ramp up the content. But now it's really just working through all the various nuances that I want to really address when the new site goes live. I'm very excited about it. I really think it will really help the industry, and it will really help people who are doing what I'm doing. So I'm very excited. So I spent most of my time doing that. I did give myself a few days off. It knocked me for 6 when I did, but that's okay. And I have not enjoyed the experience of trying to get back up to speed again. It has been tough, but I know a lot of people around me are experiencing the same thing. So we all suffer together, so that's okay. But yeah, that's sort of where I've been spending my time.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Well, I'm excited. Nobody wants to use a platform that makes it frustrating just to use it. So it sounds like when it does happen, you're going to make it so incredibly smooth, and that makes me happy to hear somebody who's excited to be on the platform.
Yeah. No, it's just honestly the intricacies and the detail you have to go through, right? It's the little thing whenever the notification pops up. What color is it? What's the wording that's in there? How does that then translate? It's just, I'm just spending so much time on those little things, and obviously making sure the workflow all flows correctly. But yeah, it should be fun.
Good. And the writers, you mentioned them.
Yeah.
Things coming along smooth still?
Yeah, no, they are. I've probably given up on two or three so far. I have honestly, I think I've unearthed some really, really, really good ones. So much so that the writers I had initially, I'm probably going to lose those, so that I can maintain the writers that I've currently working with. A lot of it's done to economics, honestly, because of the way I'm structuring my content, the way it's been written. I'm confident with some of the writers that I've got. Super excited about some of the content that I have. To give you a couple of examples. So the article that I really loved was 100 Ways to Be Productive at Work. The person who wrote that has also developed articles on 125 ways to measure employee experience. 100 statistics on employee engagement. So this is where they went through, identified all the different, statistics or KPIs that went through, identified all the KPIs, so whenever you develop your own KPI, you get a score. We've also included, okay, so how does that relate? How does my score relate to the industry? And we've tried to provide as many tools as we can. So hopefully, I think it's going to bring really great value with the content. But again, these are the new batch of writers who are writing in a completely different way, that is really going to be trying to answer the questions that I think people are searching for on the internet. So super excited. And yeah, I think I think it was 14, I think I mentioned to you at the time. I think I'm down to 10. I really want to get it to where I have 5 or 6 really, really good, who are developing and basically each are giving me an article a week. That's ideally want to get to. I'm really, really close to it. So I'm super excited about it.
That's great. That's great. Lots of content, lots of quality content. That's good.
Yeah.
Great. Well, as we move into the new year, I'm excited to see what exactly happens. And speaking of new year, a lot of people around this time have resolutions. So, what better to bring up than healthy habits and styles in a workplace? In fact, I just read Workplace Wellness there on Open Source Workplace. The full title being Workplace Wellness, Are We Missing the Point?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great article. It highlights the do's, the don'ts, the should we's, should we nots, all things involving a healthier and more productive workplace. It made me think I should ask you a few questions, such being, do you, in your home or workplace, have certain healthy habits or perks that you absolutely find are the best or they make you more efficient? Do you have healthier benefits that most organizations should have or they should implement if they haven't? Like one specific one that really goes a long way, most bang for your buck, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
And last but not least, I know you're a man of the world. You're in all sorts of industries looking at all sorts of KPIs. What's the coolest health perk or option that you've seen? Not necessarily that you've done or had, but the one that maybe stood out or like, I've never noticed that before. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, great questions. So I'm going to do my best to answer them. I'm going to ask you to do your best to keep me on point because there was quite a few questions in there. So when it comes to healthy workplace, the two things that I think people really should be trying to follow, there's the well building standards. The well building standards is a standard that was developed over 7 years where a group of scientists did a lot of research and really, really deep research on workplace, and also looked at buildings and sort of focused on how the building impacts its occupants. So the way they've sort of structured their standard is you've got the core and shell, and then you've got your interior, so to speak. So for example, if I think about, myself at NASDAQ, I look over a building, the building has a standard, and then what I do and I put in that building for the employees of NASDAQ, that's also a separate thing. So they've created a standard that covers 7 or 8 different factors all around health, all around well-being. And it's a great, great standard. As I said, they've done so much research. They have their standard is, I think it's 101 different checklists, and you can get a qualification from silver, gold, and platinum. It is a great guide and a great standard to adopt. Another one is Fitwell, which is not necessarily about the building itself, though some factors play into that. It's more about how you as an individual and how you as an organization provide tools and equipment for people to measure their health and wellness within the organization. And I almost think that the hybrid of those two is probably the optimal place that any company wants to get to. And myself at NASDAQ, we're testing the WELL building standard in one of our buildings in Philadelphia. We're very excited about what we're going to do with that. And the whole intent behind it is, health and wellness is so important to employees. It's almost our responsibility to provide an environment that allows employees to be healthy, to be well. And also, why is that our responsibility? Whenever an employee is healthy and well, then they're going to be more productive, right? And I always go back to something we did at NASDAQ, where we did a survey to try and find out what made our employees productive. And if you go down to the very basic elements, the first 5 things that employees told us made them productive was beverages was number 1. Number 2 was air. Number 3 was light. Number 4 was I want to say like natural light. It's really basic elements that actually all play into someone's health, well-being, and their actual feeling. So I would say those are the things that I would sort of, I fully support. Whether or not I'll go into well building standards at other buildings, yet to be determined. It's not a cheap standard to achieve. And whether or not the ROI is there, yet to be determined. I believe in the standard. I believe in what they're trying to achieve. My reservation only is actually gaining the standard, and whether or not that helps retain or attract new talent. And as a workplace and a real estate provider to an organization, that's got to be my sole priority. I've got to provide that environment that allows the organization to be able to do those things. So I'm trying to think. So remind me what the second part of the question was.
Well, you kind of answered both.
Okay.
It was, what do you see that works, and what should most organizations, businesses, or properties implement? And I think you really combined the two and said, the standards.
Yeah.
Go for it.
And the second part is an interesting one, though, because it almost gets to the point where, there's basic standards, and there's things that people can follow. But I think the important part of that second question that I touch on is you have to make it cater specific to your employees. Every location is very different. A business that sits in New York City is very different to one that sits out in Silicon Valley, because of where it sits. The amount of space it has is probably, Silicon Valley is probably a low rise. It's probably got a lot of outdoor space. The city, very different. So you have to really think about it differently, and what you provide and how your employees are going to interact with the actual workplace that you provide. So it's really important that you do understand the environment you're in. You're flexible in what you're going to deliver, and also constantly your employees. Also, if you think about different countries, how they travel to work. We talked, a couple of weeks ago about London, how many people cycle in London. So therefore, whenever you're thinking about a building and you're thinking about what services to provide from a healthy perspective, you have to take those into consideration as well. In LA, choosing a building with this huge amount of bike spaces just wouldn't do you any good, because everyone's going to commute to it and drive to work. So you have to really cater to the location, but there's more specifically to the employees that are actually in that location, in that office. So while you have your base standard, you have to have that flexibility, and that goes across a lot of the workplace and real estate, and what you provide for your employees. And then I think the last one was the surprising thing, right? Yeah. One of the best things that there's 2 things that I really, really love. I love what Orange Theory are doing. Orange Theory is they've got a lot of I don't know if they're a gym. I don't know what they call themselves, but it's more the program that they have. they provide it to companies that allow and encourage employees to be healthy, active, and sort of obviously take classes and you know, and sort of maintain fitness levels. And the more they do it, then the more prizes that they, you know, employees win. And also that allows games to play off between different team members and so on and so forth. So I really love that concept. I think that's something that people buy into. And as long as it's relatively competitive, then when I say competitive, I mean, everyone's very similar in sort of standards, you know. I think that's really, really cool. One of the funkiest and interesting ways that I actually saw an organization trying to promote wellness was they have an internal stairwell. So between floors, a lot of organizations put stairs that allow you to move from one floor to the other within the space, and really promotes, you know, interaction and ease of movement through an office. So what they've done is they've put sensors on the floor, so it actually counts how many times people go up and down the stairs. And then when it gets to a certain thing, there's a prize, or whoever goes up and down the most gets a prize, or they donate to charity, whatever it is. So it almost, they're trying to encourage people to be active, to go up and down stairs. And I thought that was a really clever way to sort of, you know, be collaborative, be social with the organization. And also, obviously, there's a benefit for everybody who does participate. So that was a really clever thing that I sort of seen. And I'm working on how to try and do it, but it's really cool.
Very good. Very good. I'm a social person. I love to speak. So that would be something that really catches my attention, being having an organization promoting you, like going to a different level, like associating with other people in the company. That makes me excited, but I'm just one person. So, which makes me think, do you have any New Year's resolutions? I'm not personally the type of person to do that. I just think, you know, forward picture, big goals, and then breaking it down from so. But I thought I'd ask since we're on the topic.
Yeah, no, I don't really, I didn't sort of sit down and go, this is a New Year's resolution. But I do sit down and I do plan. And I did a little, you know, Excel exercise of what I wanted to create over the next 12 months. So I have a vision of what I want to create, how I'm going to create that, and sort of the steps that I need to do. And again, it's 12 months out, and, you know, who knows 2-3 months from now whether that still stays the same. But I sort of sit down. I did that. I wouldn't call that a resolution. I've got to lose a few pounds. This week I'm actually going through. It's not fasting, but I'm having my coffee, my bulletproof coffee, and for the rest of the day I'm drinking bone broth, and that's it. And the intent of that is to sort of cleanse the body, let the body relax, let the body recover, and hopefully lose a few pounds. But in essence, it's more, I did overdo it at Christmas, as I usually do. It's the one time of the year where I really just go nuts. People who know me probably go, no, it's not the only time of the year, but that's okay. But no New Year's resolutions per se, no. And you said you didn't?
No, I took a look at where I want to be going into 2020, and looked at the steps that what I need to get me there.
Yeah.
But
what do you want to do in 2020?
just expand, do more business, do things that interest me more. Your work is fantastic. I love everything we do. Basically, take what I do to the next level, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I spoke to you before this conversation about having editors. I do a lot of voice work for anybody who doesn't know. And editing is time consuming, and just like writing is time consuming. So if I can subsidize that or give it to someone else and still create a better product, or give myself more time to create more products, it's just going to help me all around. So that's what I do. But to be fair, not saying, hey, this is my New Year's resolution is probably really good for both of us. There's been studies that show just because it's the new year, if you have a New Year's resolution, it's not the best way to go about it.
Yeah, probably if you set up a New Year's resolution, that's a guarantee that you'll never do it, right? You know, but yeah, no, I actually did. I mean, and I actually really sat down. I really enjoyed the exercise of thinking through, and I did it at a time when I didn't anticipate doing it either. So it wasn't like I didn't sit down to actually go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I just accidentally did it, which was really good, which meant the brain was relaxed and there was no pressure on myself. So no, I thoroughly enjoyed that. So it'll be interesting to see. I put together a model, put together a spreadsheet, and we'll see how close I get to it. Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited about this year. Really, really excited about where I am in a sense of what I learned from 18. I learned quite a bit, learned a lot. You know, if I was to look at myself where I was 12 months ago, man, it's such a big different place, like big different place. In doing this, my workplace stuff, that's always gonna grow. I just can't stop learning about it. And I love being hands-on in the office, and I love interacting with the team, and I really love what we're trying to achieve as a team as well. But when I think about open source workplace, you know, it was just I have to have a look and see whenever I actually come up with a name, just to see, sort of see how long and far away that came. But yeah, 19 is going to be a big year. I really feel it. So
I'm excited for it. I have 10, 20 other questions that start to pop in my head the more we speak. It always happens. And you always like to throw in that last little comment before we go. Is there anything that you want to say? Because I know if I ask a question, we'll keep going.
I'm okay if you ask one more question. It's all right. That's good. I don't have any sort of curveballs at this time, no.
Really? Okay. Well, my question is, you had a lot of downtime to step away from the actual office work, focus on other things. Did anything that you read pique your interest? You're always reading, you're always getting more information, like you said, always learning. So did anything stand out over the winter break?
Not really. I know it seems quite disappointing with the way you sort of build that up, but I actually try to stay away from it. And to be honest, what I will say, and I don't really talk about it too much, but my team, Manchester United, changed the manager. They sacked one manager and they got a new one in it. And all of a sudden we won 5 games in a row. So that took up a lot of my time because I got quite excited about watching my soccer team again. I really did. And I sort of took that as a way to sort of relax the mind. And, you know, as a guy who, you know, went to college in Manchester so I could go watch Manchester United, who spent years traveling to watch Manchester United everywhere. To be excited to watch them again after a very tough time has been really good. So I didn't really spend too much time deep diving into real content. I used the opportunity to really relax and enjoy watching my soccer. Yeah.
That's great. You have to have balance. You have to have it. So that's good to hear. I hope the next time we speak, you'll be able to take my build up and really just run with it next time. But I'll give you the pass. I'll give you the pass.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. For anyone watching this later or on Facebook Live right now. Again, this is Alek Dincoff, Steve Todd. We're here every Monday talking about open source workplace and what else is going on. Don't forget to share this on your social media, different outlets. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube now. We're starting a podcast here this week. So all these articles that I bring up, I'm actually narrating, and you'll be able to find them. We'll probably put a little link or a description here underneath this video.
Awesome.
So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.